Hi everyone, and welcome to November's ACEC webinar, where we will be discussing Social Security. We appreciate all of you taking the time to join us today. A few items to go over before we get started. First, in order to ensure everyone has the ability to hear the information presented by our guest speaker, everyone will be on mute during the webinar. Second, please feel free to write in any questions you may have during the webinar in our Q&A tool on the webinar menu. At the end of the webinar, we'll take the time to go through these together. Third, there will be polling questions throughout the presentation. All results are anonymous, and we appreciate your participation. Now, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker of BlackRock, Jennifer Taboada. Jennifer is head of the Social Security Consulting Team at BlackRock. In this role, Jennifer serves as a national specialist on the topic of Social Security. She has been in the financial services industry for 10 years, responsible for creating, implementing, and presenting a broad array of financial planning topics for investment management and financial advisory practices. She attended Seton Hall University, where she received a BS in International Economics and a BA in Modern Languages with a specialization in Spanish and Italian. Thanks for presenting today, Jennifer, and now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing well today. For about the next 50 minutes, like Renata just said, we're going to be talking about the hot topic of Social Security, and it happens to be the #1 requested seminar that we have here at BlackRock, mostly because, other than the statements that you seldomly receive in the mail, there's really not much we know about Social Security, right? Social Security is not walking around handing out pamphlets telling you, hey, this is how you should start taking your benefits, right? So that's my goal here today, is to simply spend the next 50 minutes going over some of the basics about Social Security. I'll be going over how to take your benefits as an individual, how to take them as a couple, and more importantly, how to employ certain strategies in order to maximize your benefits. Now, keep in mind that there is no wrong and or right way to take Social Security benefits. I'm not here to give you the magic answer. As a matter of fact, every single one of your situations will be different, and how you collect your benefit will be based on, your factors, when you were born, and a lot of other moving parts. So my suggestion always is that, that just use this presentation simply to kind of get an idea, to make you feel a little bit more comfortable about having that conversation with your financial advisor on some of the choices that you might have in collecting your Social Security benefits. Now, with that being said, keep in mind that, the Social Security was first initiated in the 1930s, and it was initiated as a supplemental income to the elderly who could no longer work. So just a fun fact, if you think about the life expectancy in the 1930s, it was actually around 55 years old, right? The age at which you were allowed to collect your benefits without penalty at that time, right, to collect 100% of your Social Security benefit was 65. So let's think about it. 55 is your life expectancy. 65 is the age at which you were supposed to you're allowed to take your benefit in full without any penalty. Right? So clearly Social Security was not thinking we're living that long, right? And expectancy actually today is around 77 years old. And statistically, a couple that's reached the age of 65, one of you has a 50% chance of living until the age of 93. One of you has a 25% chance of living to the age of 98. So the entire point here, guys, is that we are all living much, much longer. And how you take your Social Security benefit can not only affect what you receive for the rest of your life, but possibly what your spouse receives for the rest of theirs. So we want to make sure that you're making the best decision for you to get you through that 20, 30 years into retirement, because unfortunately over half of those currently collecting Social Security benefits today are collecting it at a permanently reduced rate. And you're probably thinking, well, why, right? Well, probably many of you, just like you're thinking right now, well, because you can, right? You've been paying into this your entire life. I mean, how many things do you know, how many things you pay into your entire life that you know nothing about, right? Social Security is one of them. And a lot of people just take it because it's there for them. And again, there's no wrong and or right way, but you want to make sure that if you do collect your benefits early, it is for the right reasons. Now, let's talk about how you can even qualify to receive your Social Security benefits. Right? In order to qualify for your benefits, you have to have earned 40 credits. You can earn up to 4 credits per year, and if you do the math, it's a 10-year minimum that you would have to work in order to pay into Social Security and be eligible to receive benefits off of your own record. Now, Once you receive your statement, right, and you qualify for your benefits, it's going to look something like what is in front of you on that screen. Right, your statement, the way that they come up with your age 62, full retirement age, and age 70 estimated Social Security benefits are that they look at your entire work history and they look at the best 35 years of that work history and they come up with an average, and that's how you get your 62, full retirement age, and age 70 estimated benefits. Now, how do you use this to your advantage? Right, if you've worked over 35 years, for every single year that you work more than those 35, come next year, your benefit will automatically increase. If you haven't worked a full 35, let's say you only worked 10 years, you were a stay-at-home parent and therefore you qualified for Social Security benefits, but you didn't have a full 35 years of benefits. Well, you can, for every single year that you do work, and you add and you change one of those zeros to a number, come the following year, your Social Security benefit can increase. In addition, your Social Security benefits are estimated benefits. And as you can see there on the statement, it literally says that, your estimated benefits. And the reason they say estimated, it's because Social Security is assuming that you are earning your current income level up until the day that you file. So for example, if you are filing at 62, they're assuming you are working at your current income level up until the age of 62. Again, working up until the age of full retirement age, up until the age of 70, etc. So what happens with that is if you decide that you want to collect at 62, but that you want to retire at 62, but you won't want to collect until full retirement age, your estimate can be drastically different, right? It could be a lot less than what has been stated on your statement. So again, a suggestion is that when you're ready to go ahead and decide how to take your benefits, to sit down with your financial advisor and let them know whether you're going to retire early and or later, so that we can help best determine what that estimate might be. So we can get you as close as possible. But I would still say that when you're looking at these suggestions, there are estimates. We want to give you a rough ballpark as to what you should do with your Social Security benefits. Don't hunker down so much on the exact numbers. Now, if you're wondering where you can get these statements because you haven't received one in forever, well, that's probably because they haven't sent you one in forever. Social Security, due to budget reasons, has actually stopped sending out these statements every single year. And what they do now is they send them every 5 years, so every major birthday, 50, 55, 60, etc. If you want to receive your statement earlier than that, which we do suggest you do, you can go to the Social Security website. It's www.ssa.gov, and if you think of SSA backwards and you think of the government, I'm sure you'll never forget the website, right? Visual learner here. If you go to the website, it's pretty simple. It's like filling out your credit report. You answer a few personal questions, and you'll have access to your full Social Security statement. That's what you will need to print out and hand to your advisor so that we can run this type of analysis. I do suggest, like I said, to do this every single year. Now, once you signed up online, it actually reminds you in your email every single year to go on there and look at your statement. And the reason we suggest looking at it is because Social Security openly admits on messing up on 7 to 8% of these statements, meaning there could be zeros in years in which you know for sure you had a working history, right? You had an income that you had earned and paid into Social Security, and they have a zero in there. And unfortunately, there is a statute of limitations as to how long you have to report that error. And it's 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days. Once you're out of that time frame, that error is now yours, and that will stay permanently on your Social Security statement record, and there's nothing that you can do in order to fix that. So again, check it, pretend like they're your taxes, compare them from last year, and throw them away and move on. And that way you make sure that your Social Security statement is always correct and up to date. So now that you've looked over your statement, you've qualified, when is it you can start taking those benefits? Well, you can start taking your benefit as early as age 62. And if you take it at age 62 or before your full retirement age, it's going to be at a permanently reduced rate for the rest of your life. Once you've reached your full retirement age, that's your sweet spot. That's at the age that Social Security wants you to be retired, right? That's at the age you can receive 100% of your benefit without penalty. After your full retirement age, for every single month and year you wait to collect your benefits up until the age of 70, Social Security will in essence basically pay you not to take it. And we're going to go over a little bit in a few slides over the details on how that works. Now, your full retirement age is based on the year in which you were born. So if you were born in 1937 or earlier, your full retirement age is age 65. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is age 66. And if you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is age 67. Now, if you're probably sitting there staring at your screen going, oh, she's not even going to talk about what happens to those who were born between 1954 and 1960. Well, don't fret. This is where you'll see that Social Security likes to be extremely complicated. And what they do is for every single year after 1954, they add 2 months to your full retirement age. So you guys are engineers. You guys like to do math. So think about 1956. What's your full retirement age? Right? It's 66 and 4 months. Right? 2 months for every single year added after 1954. Now, you don't need to do the math if you don't need to. It's on your Social Security statement. The only reason I say that and I stress it is because if you decide to take your benefits at full retirement age and you file at 66, but your full retirement age is 66 and 4 months, you might have now filed and had you might not have as many benefits as you would have had previously should you have waited to your actual full retirement age. So just something to keep in mind when it is you're ready to go ahead and file. So if you do decide to take your benefit early, like I mentioned, no wrong and or right way. If you need the income, that's totally fine, but just keep in mind that if you do take it at 62 or as early as 62, it's a 25% haircut right off the top. And for every single month and year you get closer to your full retirement age, the more of that pie that you receive, right? You get 100% of that benefit without penalty once you reach your full retirement age. And in this case, we're just going to assume age 66. Now we're going to stop here for a polling question. And if you guys please go ahead on your screen and answer the question in front of you. The first question is what questions should you consider before collecting your Social Security benefits early, right? Whether it is, are you still working? Are you married? How is your health? Right? Which question do you believe you should consider first? Go ahead and if you can answer that in front of on your screen, and we're going to go ahead and pause for a moment until we get some of those responses. All right, so about half of you are saying that that's the top question you should think to yourself is, are you still working? And that is absolutely correct. But all of those questions are important for you to ask yourself. Right? When it is that you're deciding to start taking your Social Security benefits, and especially early, some of the questions you should always be prepared to answer with your financial advisor is whether you're actually, ready to retire. What is your health look like? What's your longevity look like? You're probably thinking, well, oh goodness, how am I supposed to figure that one out, right? Who has a magic 8 ball? I have no idea when I'm going to pass away. Yeah, none of us know, right? But at the end of the day, we can look back at our family history and kind of get a good idea. If not, we use statistics, right? Like I mentioned, a couple's reach age 65, most likely you guys are going to live into your 90s. If by chance you're looking at your family history, like for example mine, I'm Cuban American, my whole family's from Cuba, and for some reason, I don't know if it's the rice and beans or the plantains, who knows, right? We all seem to live well into our hundreds. If that's the case, then I'm going to go ahead and put 100 in for my life expectancy. Again, you can let us know what it is that you feel comfortable for us to place in there, because your longevity is going to have a big part as to what your strategies that you should look at and how to take your Social Security benefits. Some of the other questions you should ask: whether you're married, are you divorced, is there a big age difference between you and your spouse, and again, are you working, right? Excellent question, because like I mentioned, Social Security is for those who are retired and no longer working. So if you decide to continue working and collect your benefit at the same time, and you are previous to your full retirement age, so you're under, let's say for example 66, you're going to be subject to the earnings limit test. And what that is a fancy way of saying, hey guys, you're going to be penalized for taking your benefit and working at the same time, right? And for every $2 that you earn over $15,720 in 2016, it's actually a little over $16,000 for 2017, they're going to withhold $1 of your benefit check. Now, once you reach the age in which the year in which you turn full retirement age. So for example, if you turn full retirement age in June, from January until June, you're subject to a different limit. You actually have a little bit more that you can earn. You can earn up to $41,880 in 2016. And for every $3 you earn over that limit, they're going to withhold $1. Now, once you've reached your full retirement age, good news is that Social Security doesn't care whether you continue working or not, right? Once you reach full retirement age, you can work until you die, and they do not care. It will not be subject to any type of earnings test. You will not be penalized, and you can earn any type of income without any type of penalty. But of course, like I mentioned, anything before your full retirement age is going to be subject to this earnings test. Now, something to keep in mind is that you also have to remember that this is also on it's not a pro rata basis, meaning it's not like they're going to take a little bit out of every check up until they've received what they should have withheld for the year. What they're going to do is they're going to withhold all checks up until they've received what they should have for the year, and then you'll start receiving a benefit check, if any at all. So again, if you're earning over $100,000 this year, right, and your benefits, let's say $2,000 a month, there's no way you're going to receive a benefit. You're going to go the whole year without receiving any type of Social Security benefit. So again, it might be something you need to sit down with your advisor and think, well, is it logical for me to collect benefits if I'm not going to receive anything at all because of how much I'm earning? Now, of course, Social Security likes to be a little lenient in the sense that they give you a once-in-a-lifetime do-over. If by chance you decide to continue working and collect your benefit, and then all of a sudden you realize, well, hanging out with my spouse all day long maybe wasn't such a great idea, right? Maybe retirement's not so good. Maybe I should go back to work. Maybe I should. You took your benefit and now you've changed your mind. The whole point is that you can withdraw that application and pretend like nothing's ever happened as long as you fill out this form in front of you, right? It's called the Request for Withdrawal Application. It's literally the form that you see in front of you, so it's pretty easy in filling it out. But of course, there's always a catch, right? You had to have decided to fill out this application and withdraw your Social Security benefits within the first 12 months that you start to file. So from the day you file, you have 12 months from today, let's say for example you filed today, to decide to withdraw your application. Once you're out of that 12 months, you no longer have that option to withdraw. In addition, you have to have paid back everything you've received thus far, meaning anything you received from Social Security and anything that your spouse and or dependent child received on your behalf has to go back. So if you started collecting in January and now it's November, right, that's a long time. That's a lot of benefits that you might have to fork over in a check back to Social Security before you can withdraw your application. And again, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. So again, you have 12 months from the day you file. You have to have done it only once in your lifetime, and you have to return every dollar you received thus far, and you can go ahead and pretend like nothing ever happened. There'll be no penalties, and you can start taking your benefit at a later time or whenever it is that you might be comfortable. Now, we talked a lot about what happens when you start taking your benefit early. Let's talk about what happens when you wait. Right, like I mentioned earlier, for every single month and year you wait past your full retirement age, Social Security in essence basically pays you not to take your benefit. So again, for every single month, you get 2/3 of 1% or 8% annually up to a 32% increase at age 70. Right, so again, monthly basis, 2/3 of 1%, and then you'll get the full 32 if you wait up until the age of 70. Now, if this is not including your cost of living increase, right? If you have, like, let's say a 3% cost of living increase at age 67, you've now got the 8% increase in delayed retirement credits, and you've earned 3% in COLA. So now you got an additional 11% added onto your Social Security benefit check simply by not taking your benefit. Right? So there are some benefits for not taking your benefit past your full retirement age. But again, this is only available at your full retirement age, and your benefits do not increase past the age of 70. So once you've hit 70, there's no reason why you should be taking your benefit because there's no more delayed retirement credits added on to that Social Security benefit check. So let's talk over the break-even analysis because the break-even is another way to kind of gauge as to when it is you should start taking your benefits. So of course, depending on when it is that you file for your benefits, there is a point at which no matter when you file, you'll receive the same amount from Social Security depending on when you pass away. So by looking at your break-even analysis, you can kind of determine when it is you should start taking benefits depending on that life expectancy. So if you don't think you're going to live past age 78, maybe you should start taking your benefits at age 62. If you think you're going to live past 82 and a half, maybe you should start taking your benefits at age 70. So again, just another tool to kind of help you decide when you start taking your benefits. As well as this is probably the only thing that you need to consider if you are a single person. As an individual, there's really no strategies as to how to file for your benefits, right? It's really simple as just figure out when it is you're going to pass away, right? Super easy, figure that out, and then you can determine your break even and kind of help, decide when it is you start taking your benefits. But every one of our analysis is going to come out with a break even based on yourself and or you and your spouse to help you determine when it is that you should maybe start taking benefits, again, depending on your life expectancy. So let's go over now what you're eligible for if you are married, because believe it or not, there are benefits to being married, guys, right? As a spouse, you are eligible for benefits off of your husband and or wife and or partner, right? So you have here Jordan and Alex. Jordan's collecting $2,200. Alex is collecting $0, right? She didn't earn any benefits on her own record, but lucky for Alex, she's eligible to receive half of Jordan's benefit as long as Jordan is collecting. So she's eligible for $1,100, right, half of the $2,200 at her full retirement age as long as Jordan is filing for his benefits. That is the only rule, guys. If you're looking at spousal, but you're eligible for spousal benefits, the only way you can get them is if your spouse is collecting. That's the only rule. If your spouse is not collecting, you are not eligible for spousal benefits, right? They make it pretty simple. So as soon as they file, you are now eligible to receive those $1,100. If Jordan files for his benefit early, of course it's at a reduction because every Social Security benefit when taken early is at a reduction. It's a 25% reduction for taking at 62, so now he's collecting $1,650. And then Alex is still, as you can see, eligible for those full $1,100 as long as she files at her full retirement age. So it doesn't matter when your spouse files for benefits. It matters when you file, right? Because you're always eligible for half of your spouse's benefit no matter when they file. So she's eligible for those $1,100 regardless if Jordan files early or he files later in life. If she were to file for her spousal benefit early, like I said, any spousal benefit, any Social Security benefits will be at a reduction if taken previous to your full retirement age. If she were to take it at 62, as you notice, it's even at a higher reduction than your individual benefits. If you recall a few slides ago, your individual benefit was reduced by 25% at 62. At 62, for your spousal benefits, it's actually reduced at a 30%. And for every single month and year you get closer to your full retirement age, the more of that spousal benefit you receive. But as you notice, once you've hit that full retirement age, your spousal benefit no longer increases. And that's because spousal benefits do not earn delayed retirement credits like your individual benefit does, like we spoke about. So if you are eligible for spousal benefits and your full retirement age, meaning your spouse is collecting, there is no rhyme or reason why you shouldn't be collecting spousal benefits, right? Because for every single month you leave not collecting, it's more money that you've now left to Uncle Sam. Now in this case, you see that Jordan did wait to collect his benefit until 70, so he earned those 32% in delayed retirement credits, right? 8% every year from full retirement age until age 70. So now he's collecting the $2,904. So as soon as he files, Alex is now eligible for benefits off of his record. And again, she's only ever eligible for half of his benefit at full retirement age. So although he collected a 32% increase in delayed retirement credits, the max Alex is receiving is $1,100. Right? So as long as he files, she's eligible for those $1,100, and there's no increase in those $1,100. Now Jordan, if he decides to take his benefit early, as I mentioned, the only rule is that he has to be collecting in order for Alex to be eligible for spousal benefits off of his record. So she can decide to take her benefits at 62 because it's eligible to her, but keep in mind that those $1,100 are now permanently reduced to $770 because it's a 30% reduction. Now, there's a common misconception out there that you collect your spousal benefit early and then you could pick up the rest at full retirement age. That is not the case. It is permanently reduced, meaning you collect your benefit early, that's what you will receive for the rest of your life, or up until the time that your spouse passes away, in which then you might be eligible for survivor benefits. So I'm going to go over this quickly only because this was one of the strategies that was eliminated in November 2015 during the budget deal that was signed by Obama. I'm sure many of you heard that there were some changes in Social Security. Two popular strategies that people like to employ in order to maximize their benefits was eliminated. And one of them was this one, which was file and suspend. The only reason I'm mentioning it is because if you were full retirement age and you had filed and suspended your benefit before April 30th of this year, you have been grandfathered into this strategy, meaning you would be able to file for your benefits, wait to collect until age 70 so you can earn delayed retirement credits, pick up your higher amount at age 70, but still allow your spouse and or child to collect benefits off of your record. As I mentioned earlier, right, what's the #1 rule of collecting spousal benefits? Your spouse has to be collecting. So in this case, you were allowed to collect even though your spouse wasn't. That was one of the strategies. And again, it was eliminated, so anybody who files and suspends their benefit from now on, their spouse and or child will also be suspended. So again, this is just telling you that you've been grandfathered. If this happens to be you was able to do this before April 30th, your spouse will still be able to collect benefits off of your record while you remain in suspension. So this is actually one of the strategies that most people don't know of. So I would definitely take a look at it because many of you can employ this particular strategy even if you file for your benefits early, right? So I mentioned earlier you file for your benefits early, you only have 12 months to withdraw your application and pretend like nothing ever happened. Well, in this case, you can actually decide to suspend your benefits when you've reached your full retirement age and earn delayed retirement credits on your already reduced benefit. So even though you collected early, you can still decide to suspend your benefits at full retirement age and earn some credits to kind of get a little bit back as to, so that you can make up for a little bit of what you took a cut on for collecting your benefit previous to your full retirement age. So in this case, although Jordan collected $1,650 at 62, at full retirement age, he decides to voluntarily suspend his benefit. He called Social Security and said, you know what, I don't want to take this benefit anymore. I won the lottery, or whatever it might be. Whatever the excuse, it doesn't matter. The point is you can decide to suspend it, earn credits on that record, and at 70, again, your benefit would automatically start, and you receive the higher amount that had the 32% increase added onto your $1,650. So anybody can do this. The catch is, of course, it's only available at full retirement age because most strategies are only available at your full retirement age, right? Previous to that, you don't have that many choices. But in this case, once you get to your full retirement age, you can actually start and stop your benefit as many times as you want. And for every month that you don't take it, you'll earn 2/3 of 1%, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to voluntarily suspend your benefit and you have to wait until 70. You can do it as many times as you like, right? So turn it on and off. That's why it's called voluntary suspension, because you're voluntarily doing that. Now, of course, the catch is that if you do have anybody on your record who's collecting benefits, their benefits will also be suspended. So if you have Alex here collecting your spousal benefits, if you turn yours off, her benefit will also be turned off up until the time that you file again. So at 70, once the benefit gets turned back on, then she can go ahead and start receiving her $770 again. So just something to keep in mind if you would like to employ this particular strategy. So you're probably wondering, well, what happens if my spouse also has a benefit of their own, right? What if you have two spouses who qualify for Social Security benefits, right? In this case, you have Jordan who's collecting $2,200. Alex is eligible for $600 now, right? The easiest way to remember when you're eligible for more than one benefit is that Social Security will pay you the highest of the two benefits. That's it. It's not one plus the other. It's one or the other. So in this case, it's either her $600 or the $1,100 she's eligible for, because she's eligible for 50% of his benefit. So Social Security will pay her the $1,100. So what they do is they take your individual benefit and they give you whatever it is that needs to equal the $1,100 that she's eligible for, so the highest of the two numbers. So the only thing you need to remember is that if you do decide to take your benefit early, because your Social Security benefits works in two pieces, right? It's your individual, and they add whatever it is extra to equal the highest of the two numbers. They reduce those benefits proportionally depending on the type of benefit, right? Because your spousal benefits are reduced at a higher amount than your individual benefit. So if you decide to take it at 62, as you notice, her 600 was reduced by 25% for taking it at 62, and the spousal benefit portion was reduced by 30% for taking it at 62. So she's receiving a total of $800 if she decides to take her benefit as early as 62. If she waits until full retirement age, again, the maximum she'll receive is $1,100 because that's the highest of the two benefits she's eligible for. And if she waits until 70, again, that most you'll ever get from spousal benefits is the $1,100 that you were eligible for at full retirement age. So if she gets it at 70, the max again is $1,100. So again, easiest way to remember, you don't have to decide or think about the math. If you're eligible for more than one benefit, you get the highest of the two, period. All right, let's talk about survivor benefits because as a spouse, you're also eligible for 100% of whatever your spouse was collecting upon their death. So this is, guys, where you need to decide that you have to sit down collectively as a couple to decide how you're going to take those benefits. Because again, how you take your benefit can directly impact how much your spouse receives when they pass away. In this case, you have Jordan and Alex again with $2,200 and $600. If Jordan was to pass away at 63, and decide to collect at 63 and 6 months and passes away, she's also eligible for the 1833 he had filed for. If he had waited until age 70 to collect, he would have collected 2904, right? He would have gotten that 32% increase, and now if he passes away, Alex is also eligible for those 2904. So clearly over $1,000 difference simply because he waited to collect to his benefit at a later time. Now again, the biggest reason this should be a decision you make together is because when you start taking your benefits, who do you think of? Right? Let's be honest, guys, right? Who do you think of? You think you're just me, myself, and I, right? How much am I going to collect throughout my lifetime, right? Not many of us are thinking, well, how much is my spouse going to get, right? Well, in this case, over half of women are currently collecting Social Security benefits directly tied to their spouse. So this is why it's important to make this decision together, because again, how he collects is how much you're going to possibly receive when they pass away. Right? Again, this is something that our tool is able to analyze. It's a tool, one of the only in the industry that can look at a situation versus with a single person, a couple, a divorced couple, or a widower. So we have several different ways that we can run this analysis to kind of help you determine what your options are. So let's look at some of those collection strategies, right? Now you guys got some of the basics down. You understand how to take spousal benefits, how to take benefits as an individual. How can you now employ some of that information we just talked about to maximize your benefits? But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and stop for a moment and take our next polling question. The question will be, I currently have an idea of what my collection strategy will be. So if you do, place true. If you don't, it's false. If you can go ahead and answer your question right in front of you on the screen, we're going to go ahead and pause for a moment until we get some of those responses. All right. It seems like most of you already kind of have an idea what your strategy will be. So that's wonderful. Hopefully in the next few slides you'll either confirm that or maybe learn something new, right? So let's look at some of those collection strategies and assume the worst case scenario, right? Let's assume that now both of you are collecting as soon as possible, right? I apologize, my computer's going a little crazy. But let's assume again that you guys are collecting as soon as possible. Let's say you need the income, again, no wrong end or right way. Let's also assume that longevity is an issue. You're only living to 75 and 84. You're both 19, born in the same time. Jordan's PIA is now $2,200, Alex is $600, right? Both of you decide to collect as early as possible. And you collect that for the rest of your lives and in total receive $607,000 throughout your lifetime. Let's now assume that Jordan and Alex wait until full retirement age to collect their benefit. So Jordan's now collecting 100% of his benefit for $2,200, and Alex is collecting $1,100 of her benefit, right, her spousal benefit, for the rest of her life or until Jordan passes away, and then she'll collect his survivor benefit. And in total, they'll receive over $633,000 throughout their lifetime. Now, if you look at what happens when they hit 70, right? Now they've both waited till the last possible moment to collect benefits. Jordan's now collected his full 32% increase in delayed retirement credits, is now collecting $2,904, but Alex is still only ever eligible for those $1,100. And as you notice, both collecting at age 70, they're collecting over $601,000 throughout their lifetime. So it happens to be the worst case scenario. So again, sometimes waiting, guys, until the age of 70 is not the best case, depending on your situation. In this circumstance, should Alex have taken her benefit as early as possible and Alex as late as possible, that would allow at 70 years old for Alex to pick up the additional spousal benefit now that Jordan is collecting, right? That's the only rule. He has to be collecting to get that spousal benefit. She collects the additional $500 and then picks up the $2,904 when Jordan passes away. Overall, they'll collect over $634,000 throughout their lifetime, and this happens to be the best case scenario. And this is just a tip that most cases, when you have a very high earner and a very low earner like this one, if the lower earner takes it as soon as possible and the higher earner takes it as late as possible, that normally yields the best result. Now this scenario, as you notice, not much change, except now they're living much longer. Longevity is not an issue. Jordan's living until age 85, Alex is living until the age of 92. Right, same situation, she's taking it as early as possible, he's taking it as late as possible, and they're yielding over $1 million throughout their lifetime. So clearly, if you employ a certain strategy and longevity is on your side, you can really receive a lot from Social Security and benefits. Now let's look at when you have two high earners, right? Because in the household, it's very possible you have two higher earners, right, with similar benefits. So in this case, you have Jordan and Alex. They are, Jordan's collecting $1,900, Alex is collecting $1,800. Longevity is not an issue. They're living pretty long, 85 and 92. Now, this is one of the strategies that was eliminated, but grandfathered in for anybody born January 1st, 1954 or earlier. So keep that date in mind, guys. If you were born on January 1st, 1954 or earlier, you might want to talk to your advisor about employing this particular strategy. And that's because if you were, and you met that birth date, you're allowed to pick and choose which benefit you'd like to take, right? Up until now, I told you that when you apply for benefits, Social Security the two benefits you are eligible for and pay you the highest amount. No questions asked. Well, if you were born on January 1st, 1954 or earlier, you can decide to take your spousal benefit only. What that allows you to do is to earn delayed retirement credits on your individual benefit because you didn't collect your individual benefit. Your individual benefit was not filed for and therefore earning delayed retirement credits while you collected your spouse's benefit only. This is called filing a restricted application, and it's only available to those within that birth date. So if it is that you fall into that rule, as long as your spouse is collecting, you are eligible to collect half of your spouse's benefit. In this case, Alex was collecting $950, half of $1,900, anytime between full retirement age and age 70. And at age 70, she could file for her individual benefit and switch on to the highest benefit she would have eligible to her. So now, instead of collecting her $1,800, she collected $950 for a few years to then earn $2,376 for the rest of her life. This would allow both spouses to maximize their benefits, right? Receive the most they possibly can from Social Security. And by employing this particular strategy, they're making over $1.2 million throughout their lifetime. Again, so definitely something to consider if you happen to be born on January 1st, 1954 or earlier. So let's go over widow benefits, because believe it or not, there are ways to maximize your widow benefits if your spouse were to pass away, right? In this case, we have Chris. He's collecting $2,200. He has a survivor benefit of $2,500, and he's living until the age of 92. Unfortunately, his wife did pass away previous to his age 60, right? But the good news is that he's able to pick up her survivor benefit as early as age 60. And you could pick it up as early as age 50 if you are disabled and you were disabled before your spouse passed away. But in most cases, most of you will have to wait until age 60 to file for any type of survivor benefit. Now, the cool thing is with widow benefits is that you can choose to take one without filing for the other and affecting the other benefit, meaning you can file for your survivor benefit and your other benefit's not decreased in the least. You can file for that at a later time and pick up the higher amount. So in this case, you have Chris, who filed for survivor benefits as early as age 60. Although he took his survivor benefit at a reduction for 1788, his individual benefit is untouched, right? He didn't file for his individual benefit, he filed for his survivor. So his individual benefit is now increasing every single month up until the age of 70. And at 70, he can go ahead back into Social Security and file for his individual benefit that went up by 32%. So he went from $2,200 to $2,904. And now he's able to collect that for the rest of his life and collect over $1 million throughout his lifetime. Now it could work the other way around. Let's say, for example, your individual benefit is less than your survivor benefit. Then it's maybe possible you take your benefit at 62 and then file for your survivor benefit at full retirement age. Because survivor benefits, just like spousal benefits, do not earn delayed retirement credits. So if you're eligible for survivor benefits and you're at least full retirement age, there's no rhyme or reason you should not be collecting them if your individual benefit is less than that survivor benefit, right? Because survivor benefits are not going to get any better. Now let's go over divorce benefits, because guess what, guys? This is everyone's favorite part of the presentation. And why? Well, because let's, face it, right? If you know somebody who's been divorced, if you haven't been divorced yourself, right? So we definitely suggest, if you know anybody who's been divorced and doesn't know this information I'm about to go over with you, let them know. Tell them to go see their financial advisor, because they might be missing out on benefits. Because as a divorced spouse, you're eligible for benefits as if you were married to them, as long as you were married to them for 10 years, remain unmarried yourself, doesn't matter if they remarry, you're both at least age 62 when you go ahead and file, and you've been divorced for at least 2 years, unless that ex-spouse is collecting. So as long as you meet these requirements, you are eligible to receive 50% of your ex-spouse's benefit at your full retirement age and 100% when they pass away. And the good thing is that they don't need to know, right? There's no one's going to notify them, no one's going to tell them, and their benefit's not going to decrease in the least by you filing for benefits off of their record. A matter of fact, all you need to do is go to Social Security and give them your marriage certificate and your divorce decree, and they're going to let you know what benefits you are eligible for. So the only way they'll ever find out that you're collecting benefits off of their record is if you decide to send them a nice little note saying, ha ha ha, still collecting off of you, right? It's not, no need for them to ever know, and you don't need to contact them in order to get that information. Now, if they pass away, again, you are eligible for 100% of that benefit. As long as you were married to them for 10 years, you remain unmarried or married after the age of 60, and you're at least age 60 years old when you go ahead and file. Now, this is the only time that you can pick and choose your benefit if you remarry. So if you remarry while they're alive, you are no longer eligible for benefits off of their record, right? You lose your ex-spouse's benefit once you remarry if they're alive. You are then, after 1 year, eligible for benefits off of your new spouse. Now, if you decide to get divorced again, right, that unfortunately didn't work out as well, as long as you were married to both those spouses for at least 10 years, you remain unmarried, both of you at least age 62, and you're divorced at least for 2 years, to both of them, now you can do a little bit of shopping, right? Who doesn't like to do a little bit of shopping? You can go into Social Security with both marriage certificates and divorce decrees and say, you know what, Social Security, which one of my spouses made the most? I'd like to collect off of them. And they're going to go ahead and give you the highest benefit that you are eligible for. Same thing when it has with survivor benefits, except now, if you remarry at 60 or later, you can choose to take either your individual, your survivor, or your new spouse. So now you have a lot of choices, right? But you're able to keep that benefit, unlike if they were still alive. And of course, you have to be at least age 60 years old when you go ahead and file. So kind of give you guys an idea and a fun fact, because this just helps you kind of remember how this works. If you think of Johnny Carson, how many times he was married, right? If you think about it, like 4 times, right? And 3 out of the 4 wives, while he was alive, were collecting benefits off of his record, right? All collecting the same amount. So you can see kind of where Social Security went a little wonky, right? Same thing when he passed away, right? They're eligible for all of them were eligible for 100% of his benefit, right? As long as they were full retirement age or later. Same thing kind of works the other way around. Larry King, right? How many times was he married? 8 times. And a matter of fact, the same wife twice. So with him, unfortunately, none of them were eligible for benefits off of his record. Matter of fact, only one is in the running because none of them were married to him for at least 10 years. So they, none of them will qualify for Social Security benefits. So it kind of gives you an idea of how it is that you need to qualify and be eligible for those benefits. Now, of course, no good presentation could ever end without talking about taxes. You guys are all engineers, so I'm sure you love going through all of this, these brackets, so I'll go over it really quickly. It's possible you could be paying taxes on your Social Security benefits. It depends. What they look at is your provisional income, and they take half your Social Security benefits and your modified adjusted gross income, and they apply it to the chart you see in front of you. So if you were married filing jointly, and you make between $0 and $32,000 a year, good news is your Social Security benefits will not be taxed. If you're making between $32,000 and $44,000 a year and married and filing jointly, up to 50% of your benefits could be taxed. And if you're making over $44,000 married filing jointly, up to 85% of your benefits could be taxed. So not 85% tax, but 85% of your benefits could be taxed at your marginal tax rate. Now, if you're looking at that going, and I'm sure you guys are, being engineers, I'm sure you're looking at it going, well, that's a pretty big disparity between 7 and 85%. Well, that's because there is a lot of factors that go into deciding how it is that you're going to be taxed and in what tax bracket. So if you're wondering how you fall, what you fall into, and how much you will be taxed, I would suggest reaching out to a CPA or financial professional. You can be able to look at all of your income and earnings and decide where it is that you fall and how much you'll be taxed. Because believe it or not, if you take your benefit early, like we said, it's going to be at a reduction. If you take your benefit early and continue working, your benefits could be withheld. If you are 65 and older and you're eligible for Medicare, premiums are coming out of your benefit check. So you guys getting my drift? Right? Your benefit now of, let's say $2,000 has dwindled dramatically, right? Reductions, withholdings, and premiums all coming out of there. So this is why it's important to really sit down with your financial advisor, get your analysis run, decide what it is, the strategies that you have available to you, and exactly how much you're going to be receiving on a monthly basis. Because again, Social Security benefits are meant to be a supplemental income. It's not your overall financial plan, or should be your overall financial plan, right? This is not going to help you get through retirement. That's why it's important, again, to sit down with your advisor and make sure you're making up for any shortfall to get you through retirement comfortably. Because again, we're all living 20, 30 plus years into retirement. So with that, again, I want to appreciate everyone for their time. I'm going to go ahead and stop momentarily and see if you guys have any questions you'd like me to answer.
Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you sharing your time and knowledge with everyone here today. As you said, we'll start addressing some of the questions that have filtered through the Q&A tool. And remember, as you get any questions throughout, while we're still on the line here, you can continue to enter those in. Let's see here. So our first question is, actually, I think, okay, retired drew benefits at 70, spouse decreases, what survivor benefit to retiree? That wasn't in a full sentence. But, they drew the benefits.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So if somebody is living until the age of 70, and let's say didn't file for benefits, right, Social Security will pay whatever it is that they would have been receiving upon death. So I don't know if that's the question, but Social Security will pay you even if you didn't file for benefits, your survivor, whatever you would have received upon death if you're after full retirement age. If you don't file and you pass away previous to your full retirement age, your survivor will be eligible for your benefit at full retirement age. So previous to full retirement age, you're eligible for FRA benefit. If you happen to pass away in between the time that you were earning delayed retirement credits, you're eligible for 100% of whatever you would have been collecting at death. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, so just so everyone knows, this whole presentation will be recorded and sent around in an email, as well as posted on the ACEC YouTube page, so you can access that at any point. We'll also be sending around the slide deck, so you'll have access to that as well. We'll be sending that. Generally, we send it out 7 days after the webinar, but since that'll be Thanksgiving, we'll be sending it out next Wednesday. So look out for that. And you can always reach out to us if you have any other questions, and we can get those answered from Jennifer. But that will conclude our webinar. Thank you so much, Jennifer, and thank you attendees for your participation. I hope everyone has a great day and a great Thanksgiving, and we look forward to our next webinar series with you. Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. Happy Thanksgiving.